Wow, it's really taking a long time. I don't know if this is going to work. Damn it. Am I really though? Ah, hold on a second, Johnny. I apologize, everybody, because this is just it's new. I'm getting I am live, so Streamyard's lying to me. So I apologize, everybody. Hey, I am back. It's been a long time. It was I want to thank everybody for the well wishes out there. Yes, I did have COVID. I know a lot of us have, and we've all recovered. Thank goodness. I know some have been a lot lighter than others. So give me a second, everybody. I just want to do my vocal exercises here for a Friday night Cup of Ray After Dark from down here live at the world famous Berg Sports Bar and Grill on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Time for vocal exercises. Forgive me one second. Let me get this. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish, and motherfuckers act like that. See, I screwed it up. It's a Cup of Ray After Dark from down here live at Ferg's Bar and Grill on a Friday night. Hope you're going to join us. Let me go ahead and go here, and I apologize. It's all over the place, but again, I hope everybody's doing well. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day weekend. Got a dad joke for you, okay? So it used to be free to get air in your tires at any gas station anywhere, right? But nowadays it costs anywhere from $1 to $2.50. Do you know why? It's inflation. Yeah, that's a dad joke. I told you guys. I warned you up front. It was a dad joke. It's a Cup of Ray. You know what? I apologize. So somebody changed my brand, but let me put this up in here. There we go. It's a Cup of Ray from down here on a Friday night down at Ferg's Bar and Grill. Got your comments coming in here tonight. We're talking to Sean Watson, talking Tom Brady, we're talking Bruce Arians, talking NFL, and anything else y'all want to bring to the table. Welcome to a Cup of Ray After Dark. And my computer is not working.
You want us to jump in? I guess Ray wanted us to join in because he has technical difficulties right now.
Okay.
How you doing, Miss Teresa?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. I brought one of my Buck fans in here to join the show.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great.
Chris from Virginia.
I
Your life.
was affiliated with the Buccaneer Invasion here in Atlanta.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, Johnny.
How you doing, Teresa? Good to see you again.
Yeah.
You feeling better?
We're being sick.
Yeah. How's it going, everybody? In the chat?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, Alex did that.
Yeah, I did not hijack Ray. Don't do that shit. Don't do that. No, Ben took it with his mob monsters. So
Okay. I guess Ray kind of wanted to talk about Watson tonight. He's got a lot more detail into what he wants to talk about than I do. We talked about it last night on my show, but I don't personally feel like Watson's going to end up playing in this game. Not when he keeps getting all these additional suits coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So, anybody got opinions on that?
Well, to me, though, it just seems like it's being poured on now. Maybe some people, I believe some of those people are looking for a payday.
I agree with that. But there's got to be something that starts it. And,
Yeah.
and his happy ending excuse just hit me the wrong way, man. All right, so you want to be Kraft, right? He's not Kraft. You don't own the team. He's a player in the league.
I mean, to get multiple girls to do the same thing is just
consistently over and over.
It's kind of like, hold on now. I think it could have been maybe one or a few, but then all of a sudden everyone seemed like they kind of just jumped ship on it and just kind of, hey, well, let me go ahead and get my name in the hat, you know.
Well, it could also be an addictive personality. He might be just addicted to that. You know, that happens also, you know. So, and either way, it's kind of like the Ben Roethlisberger syndrome. It seems to me like you can get away with anything you want to do. And at least Roethlisberger eventually learned a lesson somewhere along the line. But I don't.
Yeah, but then again, though, Johnny, I mean, that was one girl in Macon.
Yeah.
It wasn't 20. What are we up to? 24, 26?
I think it's at 24 right now. Is there 24 or 26?
26 and counting. I guess there's another one
I think it got to 26 this week. That's what I think it was.
There was one that was 25 this week, and then it went to 26, and now there's another one supposed to be coming out of the woodwork too that they've been talking to. So, a lot of that with the lawyers talking to people, or a lot of these women don't want to come out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And they have to convince them, well, you know, well, you'll be safe, blah blah blah, all that crap, or whatever.
To be honest with you,
I honestly think there's fire with smoke, but that's not my opinion. That's just my opinion. Don't count, right? None of our opinions count right now. It's a court.
Well, yeah, exactly. We weren't there. We don't know.
Exactly.
But you know, I'm not downplaying it may have happened to them. I'm not downplaying it happening to anybody. However, I still got this feeling that somebody's out there soliciting people to come in and say, okay, we're going to go for this money to payday.
Well, think about this, guys. A little over 3 months ago, we thought we were going to be in the Watson sweepstakes, and you know, we get all phone calls and everything, and texts and everything. So, you know, at least we got one good solid, you know, one more year out of Brady. So, at least we dodged that bullet. We dodged that bullet with Watson, and you know, I wish Cleveland the best. And you know, it's one of those deals where we couldn't be any more in a better situation. So.
Hey, Chris. Hey, guys, by the way, Alex, Johnny, Chris, Teresa, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You're muffled again, right?
It's doing the muffle again.
Oh, wait a second. Go ahead. I'm gonna jump out for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So for my opinion it's more of like that domino effect method. It was all it took was that one person to turn into the trickle effect, because just like Teresa said, like some people are scared to come out with it, So all it took was that one person, and they were like, okay, they're doing it, so nothing's happened to them. So let's just all put our names in there. Just
I don't want to speculate on the women at all, man. I'd rather.
I mean, I'm not saying it's true, but
hey, guys, but Johnny, I know you can hear me now. I didn't want to speculate either, because I was going to start this whole thing off by saying, early on, we here at Bucs Report, when this all started breaking, of course, the news came, John, it came from the very top with the dude, Keith Larson, of course, who runs this ship. He said, don't speculate, don't talk about it. He's not convicted, and he's still yet to be convicted. Of course, Johnny, you and I were talking about in a court of opinion. But at this point, Deshaun Watson, you got the 26 girls. Now, my problem was the moment this news hit. The moment the news hit, I said, wait a minute. I didn't even know about Instagram, but he was flying these girls in from Atlanta into Texas to get these therapy sessions, if you will. He was flying them in. Right then and there, I said, well, there's your paper trail. If they can prove that paper trail, then whatever they're trying to say is true, right? Did you guys get that part?
Yep.
Yeah, I got that.
But my point is, as we were talking about, when you let Daniel Snyder going back a decade, and those poor cheerleaders are on the beach down there in Bermuda or wherever it was, and they say that they were, the big spenders, the big supporters of the team were brought in, and they wanted to have dates with these girls. Didn't insinuate there be anything more than just they wanted company at dinner, and they were pre-impressed into that. These girls went back to their hotel room crying. And when you talk about a Rich Dalrymple with the Cowboys and the fact that he used his security key pass to get into the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader locker room, the girls' locker room, and his excuse is, well, I was just using the bathroom when the men's bathroom was 20 feet away. And when you got Robert Kraft 2.5 hours south of here getting happy endings at the Asian Ranch at the strip mall down there in Miami, how's the NFL going to stand? I don't know who's guilty or not, but how's Roger Goodell even going to stand from a stance of making an opinion as to what your punishment to be when his 32 owners or his 32 bosses are basically getting away? Not all of them, but 3 of them right now. Lord knows how. You talk about the Washington Redskins, John Gruden and Rich and Bruce Allen, and the emails and such. When Roger Goodell's making decisions to allow these 32 billionaires to have these type of things, how is he going to stand on his pedestal and say, Deshaun Watson, we need to make you sit out an entire year because 26 girls insinuate that they were harassed into possibly having some type of a sexual harassment? Anybody, I apologize. Thank you.
That's kind of what I was kind of segueing to you with when I said that is.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it.
The NFL has to get a grip on this, man. It's getting out. It's getting way too elongated. It's being drawn out. I don't know what they can do, but they've got to get a grip on it because it just every week it gets worse and worse and worse. Look on the NFL.
Well, let me ask you this, Teresa, because not only you're handling all my comments for me, Teresa, if you're not joining us in here, find us here on Saturday nights here on Bucs Report. We got all of our special guest Kristen here also. But Teresa, as a woman yourself, obviously, and as an enlightened man myself with 2 daughters at home, one who turns 21 next week. Kate, I love you, darling. Congratulations. The minute I hear even if it's insinuated, I don't care if you met him on Instagram. I don't care if you met him on a lot of fish or whatever it's called, or I don't care where you met them. You fly them into Texas because these girls are trying to make a living as therapists. They take this seriously. And then all of a sudden, you're flipping over. Oh, look what touched. Oh my God, get the tip. Look at this happy ending. And I get pissed off at this, but I'm thinking, now we're a year and a half, 2 years later. There's no convictions in a court of law. And Roger Goodell, why all the, you guys, I talked to Johnny Dean about this. Does anybody, Johnny, you can't answer, but Alec, Chris, or Teresa, Daniel Snyder was invited to talk before Congress next week with that investigation. Congress finally picked the ball up to run with that. Of course, that came after the year and a half oral investigation where no report was made. Of course, there's no paper trail or evidence, but they hire Beth Wilkinson to do that investigation. She delivers an oral report to the Washington Commanders, and now Congress is investigating. Now, Daniel Snyder, who's supposed to be removed from any team activity, his excuse to not appear before Congress next week is, I'm previously engaged with a team activity. And I think all of us are thinking, you just don't want to. I wouldn't want to appear before Congress, not if I had bats in the belfry like Daniel Snyder has. But Teresa, as a woman yourself, what's your thoughts on what Deshaun Watson and how the NFL is looking to move forward with that entire thing?
Well, number one, I taught my daughter better than that.
Yes.
But I just as long as there's a paper trail and you can follow it, yeah, the NFL needs to do something. Do they need to hold him up as the, uh, the example?
I get you. No, I get you. And by the way, I love that shirt. That's a great looking shirt. You know what, Johnny, Dean, and Chris and Alec, do you all have anything you want to add? Because I can transition right now. I see a transitional point here, but I don't want to jump if you guys wanted to say something before I do.
Well, I was just reading about Daniel Snyder's his response to the congressional hearing, and that was due to an NDA for.
Oh, is that what? Now, where are you getting that, Johnny? Because, well, a non-disclosure, yeah, but the thing is that it's been reported all week that actually his response to Congress, and in fact, appearing next week.
It's supposed to be over long-standing commanders-related business, but it doesn't disclose much more than that. So,
it's 10:01, so I can do that right there because that's what that is. Like a long-standing commander business. I'm a billionaire. My wife's running the team. I'm not there. And we knew when Roger Goodell said that, well, we're going to suspend him from running team activities, and he puts his wife in charge. Beautiful Mrs. Snyder, and I'm not saying Daniel did specifically. He did probably what most billionaire team owners do. They have a lot of big money spenders who invest and they follow the team, and these are your sources, your business acquaintances. And all of a sudden they got into a situation with these poor girls that were doing a photo shoot for a team calendar back 10 years ago.
Okay.
And again,
evidently, what this whole meeting is about is because the oversight committee wants to break all the NDAs so that the girls can come out and testify without violating NDA agreements.
That takes me back to the NDA that the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, of course,
Right.
Dallas Cowboys, they rush it. These poor girls, or these girls, after Dalrymple goes into the locker room again, he goes into the girls' locker to the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader locker room when the men's bathroom was 20 feet away. But they basically called the girls after 8 days. They waited 8 days. The girls filed a thing with the security with Dallas. The team waits 8 days to start questioning him. And then right after that, they basically call him. Their attorneys call and say, look, Dallas is offering a $2.4 million settlement. It's take it or leave it right now on the table. The girls end up saying that either choice was a bad choice, but they took the 2.4. But again, going back to that non-disclosure agreement, Johnny, the only thing in that entire non-disclosure agreement and I think, Teresa, you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I don't know. I was reading the comments.
Well, because it's interesting, right? But the NDA that the girls and their spouses.
NDAs drive me up a wall.
Yeah.
If you're going to have somebody sign something,
right?
There's again smoke.
There's that smoke where there's fire, right? Yeah.
Well, and then that NDA that the Dallas Cowboys and their spouses sign. The only way they can break the non-disclosure agreement is if, and I hate to use the term, an act of Congress, but is if they're questioned by Congress. Because, and I'm assuming at this point, there's probably something legally that basically says you can sign an NDA, you can do all this and get that $2.4 million. But if Congress comes knocking at your door, you can't use that as an excuse. And that kind of circles back, Johnny, to what Daniel Snyder's saying. It's an NDA. And the fact of the matter is, it was for. Go ahead, Alec.
No, from what I heard from the reports from it, they're saying that the Congress is looking in the lines of sending out a summons that vetoes all that out, the whole NDAs. So that's what I'm waiting for this week, because that's the next step they have forward, is to put the summons where all that cancels out any NDAs he has for it.
Right.
To make it
go.
I
was going to say, here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, I still believe that Roger Goodell works for 32 employees. And I say that loosely because really some teams have several investors, but he works for 32 billionaires. That's his job. He wants to do what's best for the Shield. And we as fans of the Shield want to see what's best for the Shield. But at the end of the day, Roger Goodell works for 32 billionaires. But my whole thing about going into this is I'm not trying to convict Deshaun Watson here on a Friday night. Nobody wants to see that cat play as much as I do. And I'm putting all that other stuff aside. I go back to Clemson. I go back to that kid in college, the most outstanding quarterback. The kid's talented. I think he made a mistake wanting to leave Houston Texans. I think he was trying to run from all this. I think, Chris, you made a great point. Cleveland Browns, he's going to do great there. My point is that when it's for – I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
That wasn't me. That was That was him. I mean, that was me that night. Him.
Oh, go ahead, Johnny. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I just said, really? Is he going to do great there? Because I don't see him playing him down in Cleveland at all. Cleveland.
I mean, with the way this thing's dragging out, I don't see it because you gotta think of like all this thing adding up and how the NFL has their zero
The
tolerance
NFL
policy.
is going to have to clean this up.
I mean, is he in any football shape? I mean, has he been practicing on the sidelines, or has he been having his own private facility? I mean,
Yeah, he looks good though, Chris. I mean, the cat looks like he's ready to go.
I mean,
So is Rondé Barber, but he can't.
I don't want to open up a can of worms, but not getting hit for a good year or two. I mean, who knows? So
Right? Hey, do me a favor, guys, bro.
A lot of smoke.
Let me go ahead and throw this in right now. Please share this show. I mean, you're watching this tomorrow. It's Saturday morning. It's late Friday night. Maybe you've had a couple. Maybe you've had a couple. Hey, I'm not judging. Happy Father's Day weekend, everybody. But share the show because we're just trying to get it out there, trying to build this thing organically like we always do. But, yeah, Chris, I mean, he looks like he's in great shape, but the guy's a phenomenal quarterback. You know what? Let me transition off of that. Lamar Jackson's not getting a big contract with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens get this kid at number 32, the last pick of the first round back in 2018. He wins the NFL MVP in 2019. Does anybody want to jump in? Why are the Ravens slow? And Lamar Jackson's representing himself. I understand that's causing a problem, but why are the Ravens not in a hurry to get that big contract with Lamar Jackson? Anybody?
Well, take it from Lamar, man. They've been talking. He's all right with where he's at with them right now. So I think it's the opposite effect. Remember, Joe Flacco went in too soon and got that big contract and then disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as a problem there. I think they're going to have a contract negotiated before long.
You don't think it has something to do with the fact, he's due to make $22-point-something million in the fifth-year option that the Ravens picked up, but you don't think, do any of y'all believe that maybe it's something to do with the fact that this kid, the type of quarterback he is, he depends so much on pulling it down and running and using that natural talent? And do the Baltimore Ravens want to give him a Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes 5-year, $3 billion contract when this kid could end up on the injured list again in 2022 like he was in 2021 or like he was in 2020? I mean, as a team, the Baltimore Ravens always make the great decisions with getting rid of the Marquise Brown or the Brown receiver, and they draft tight ends, and they're making these great decisions on the O-line and D-line, and they've got a good defense. Are they slow to want to give this kid a $200 million contract,
I think what it is that right now they're not going to give him a Aaron Rodgers contract. That's a fact, right?
All right.
right?
Being more of a Russian quarterback. Such as like someone like Michael Vick or like an older a running / quarterback. I haven't really seen a quarterback get that kind of money other than Michael Vick from years ago. I mean, he got a big contract with Philadelphia and Atlanta, but someone like Lamar Jackson now, if he was to get hurt, he's more easier to get hurt because he's not a all the way pocket passer such as someone like Brady or Rodgers or someone of that nature.
Chris, great point. And, of course, they give Michael Vick that big contract, and we know that went to the dogs. I'm just kidding. But you know what?
Well, what they did this year in their draft and on their offensive scheme, they went and added the tight end, two more tight ends.
Right.
They added Tyler Linderbaum and Daniel Falele.
Yes.
They built that defense. They filled every hole they had in that defense, except maybe that middle linebacker spot where I don't know if Queen's ever going to develop for that middle linebacker spot or not. But if they gave all the weapons they needed to on that defense, which was ranked top 5 and number 2 on as far as rushing, stopping the rush last year.
Yes.
They went and designed a perfect offense for Lamar Jackson right now. He's going to have his tight ends as his major targets. He's going to have 3 tight end sets in blocking schemes. It's
right.
It's like the same offense they had in 2002 with Trent Dilfer there. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And then that great defense, they won that Super Bowl.
Yeah. And I've complained about Greg Roman till everybody just calls me Greg Roman sometimes. But
is he even going to have anybody to throw the ball to? I mean, didn't they just get rid of their number 1 receiver? And
it doesn't really matter if you're going through the tight ends. These tight ends right now, they got bulldozers for the short yard gains for the
act. Have Mark Andrews.
You've got Mark Andrews there to be your number 1 target. They have the speed guy with a couple of their wide receivers that are just there basically. But that's not his big game. His big game is going to his tight end set, throwing the short pass underneath, and letting them gain the yardage. That's their game.
Well, Johnny, let me ask you this.
It's a run
And of
offense.
course, Johnny Dean and Alec joining us from the NFL edition on Thursday nights. Baltimore was snake bit. They go into 2022 and they literally lose like 17 running backs in the preseason and the regular season before they even hit the ground running. If the Baltimore Ravens have a healthy backfield with this team and that defense, do they give those Cincinnati Bengals more of a run than the AFC North? I mean,
I've got them winning the AFC North. I think
over the Bengals.
Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else? How about you, Alec? Do you agree with that?
I mean, Johnny already knows my take from yesterday. I chose the Bengals to win division, even though mostly everybody on the show outed me out in that one. They all picked the Ravens.
I mean, it's going to be a dogfight in that division. I mean, someone that is 11-6 will probably, or 12-5 or somebody like that. It's going to be a dogfight. I mean, it could be one of those December cold, rainy days in Cleveland against the Bengals, and it goes by a field goal. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, the Bengals have always played in that division well. All three teams can act. We've seen all three Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens go into the playoffs before. I mean, it's not unheard of for it to happen, and I could see it happening again.
Pittsburgh's due for a down year, right? I mean, even though they draft,
they're not. Pittsburgh's gone back to. I've been out to their camp, man. Pittsburgh is back to being what they started out to be. They're not.
I think they can go. I think they can go 10-7 in their sleep. That's just
Yeah, Mike Tomlin doesn't lose, man.
That's a great point.
He can get a wild card in his sleep.
Yep. So. Absolutely.
I'm going to transition this. I'm going to jump right in because this is Bucs Report. I want to talk about Tom Brady and the Bucs. I told you, Alec, about that interview, and maybe you guys, maybe Chris, maybe you've seen it, or Johnny, and even Teresa. Tom Brady's interviewed by SI.com yesterday, and it was a great interview. It's a typical Tom Brady thing, like, what are you doing, and why was, how was that little time off you had when you announced you're retiring, and then you come back from retirement? But I love the fact that this guy asks him. And I thought this put Tom on a spot because Tom, and I want to preface this, Tom himself said that it's a hypothetical. But the guy asked Tom, will we see you in the creamsicle uniforms?
Right.
And first of all, let me ask you guys this. We hear that this year the 49ers are going to go back to the original 2-stripe instead of the 3 stripes they've worn in recent years. I get that's more of a minor uniform issue. And I'm not discounting, again, as I just talked about, I recovered from COVID recently, and I know how this is not a joke. But really, we had to wait. 2021, they couldn't wear the creamsicles because they had to get the second helmet rule. It gets passed in time. The Bucs weren't able to put the request in for the creamsicles. Now we hear that they can't because of a universal, maybe it's something to do with gas mileage, and they can't get them here by trucks. But we can't get the creamsicles in 2022. But Tom Brady, I love what he says. He goes, well, we're not scheduled to wear creamsicles in 2022, but we are scheduled to wear creamsicles in 2023. When you guys hear that, even as a hypothetical, does it start to make you realize that even though we know that Fox contract is waiting at the end, and we talked about how Tom almost walked away, 2022 isn't necessarily Tom's last year, is it?
I mean, it's more of, in my opinion, it's where he's at towards the end of this. And if he's still in that, Lord hoping, still in that healthy shape, then I see him running it back. It all depends. I'm going to leave it as that. I'm going to let Johnny answer.
No, I get it.
On that one.
I think that's more wishful thinking. I don't think.
Yeah. It's already been voted on it. I mean, he goes by his famous words, never say never. I think towards the middle of the season, depending on how we go and how deep into playoffs we go, I mean, it's pretty much, I hate to say it, but it's pretty much Super Bowl or bust. I mean, at this point, I mean, I see him coming back another year only if the cards where he, everything went right the whole season.
Well,
he's got to have fun this season.
He's got to have fun, but don't we all think that of course, I think we all can agree right now. And Johnny Dean, I'm just saying, I'm doing myself a Tom Brady, the GOAT hypothetical here. If the Bucs run it up and go 20-0 and win Super Bowl 57 out there in Arizona, then I think that's I don't think anybody. I think even John Elway in his prime, I think anybody would have to say, all right, drop the mic and walk away. It doesn't get much better than this, especially at the age of 45. Do we all agree that if the Bucs were to go 20-0, the perfect season and a Super Bowl, would Tom, as a gamer that he is, would he still have to look at 2023 and go, well,
As
we
a
still have.
competitor, I would think that he would want to get that repeat.
Yeah.
Because when you're on a streak, you don't stop your streak, dude.
I mean, when he left, I felt he still had nothing else to prove. I had a sour taste in my mouth after the Rams game, of course. I know everyone did.
Yes.
We sat there for a good 30, 40 days like, man, why? How can you just walk away like that? And then all of a sudden, just the light flashed and it's like he's back. And, I think he has more to prove. And then, like you say, if he goes 20-0, he might not have nothing else to prove. So we have to look at it where, let's enjoy this year. Let's hope he breaks every record there is and beats his own records. And if we get another year after that, then hey, that's even a better plus. But we weren't supposed to get this year, so
yeah, Chris, that's a good point.
Man in the arena.
And same with what Johnny told me before. Like, look at the previous years of we had quarterbacks in the draft. Mostly all of them started. They threw out there to the Wolves, and you got Kyle Trask. Not saying some people have mixed opinions on him. I'm not going to doubt the man until he proved otherwise. But you got another year of Tom Brady, or have Kyle Trask learn under that system, and then possibly another one on top of that. That just leaves the Bucs in better position after Brady leaves with Kyle Trask, the quarterback.
I just believe we're playing with house money.
Good, Chris. Great point. Now, Johnny Dean, I want to talk to Johnny Dean about this straight away. And then Teresa, I'd love you to read some of the comments because that's why I got Teresa in here. She's my comment girl. She does a great job with that. But Johnny Dean, going into 2021, you and I had many conversations about the quarterbacks coming out, and we kind of agreed while everyone's looking at Mac Jones and while everyone's looking here and there, we like Davis Mills out of Stanford, who's now with those Houston Texans, didn't we?
Yeah, I like Davis Mills. I like Trask better, but I like Davis Mills because I think Davis Mills has a high ceiling, dude. That's unbelievable unlocked potential right there with Davis Mills.
Stanford quarterback kind of takes you back. You start thinking about some Andrew Luck. You start thinking about a John Elway. Not that those don't do, but I mean, no, I think we like the fact that the Texans, of course, I think they made the great move when they put Deshaun Watson wasn't going to play, but the Texans put him at arm's length and say, look, just don't even show up. They pressed Davis Mills into action. But now you got Lovie Smith as the head coach there in Houston. Of course, we Buccaneer fans know Lovie Smith. Love us some Lovie Smith. And I think that if Lovie puts that defense together and Davis has another year to get better, I think the ceiling is real high on that kid, no?
Yeah, we saw it at the end of last year. He really came on. He was playing damn well. I got one more thing to say about the Brady thing that you asked because I never got to really answer that.
No, please, I never do, Johnny. Go ahead, brother.
The man in the arena. If you watch the man in the arena, you'll notice there's a trend there. Brady enjoys football when he's having fun, and he had fun for 20-something years. But his last Super Bowl win, he was not happy with. He did not have fun, and the Gronk, neither one of them had fun their last season.
Because of the pandemic. I mean, well, you're talking about Super Bowl.
No. Their last season, that was with the
last
Patriots,
season.
dude. Not. I'm talking about with the Patriots.
Man
in the arena, okay?
Yes.
You saw it. That's when they decided we're done getting beat up and tore down and talked about. Remember?
Yes.
You watched the show, right?
Oh, I've watched it several times.
So
I can't stop.
If you're on the side that you want Brady back another year after this year, you better hope he has a lot of fun this coming season. Fun, winning, and fun.
Well, Teresa.
Yes.
Well, Teresa, let me ask you now that we've got Todd Bowles in charge of this team and we know that he's the defensive guru, and I love this because we go back to when Tony Dungy was coach. Of course, back then, the thing was we had the best defense in the National Football League, but we didn't have an offense to save our souls. But now that Todd Bowles is running his team and you hear about it, Devin White coming in a little slimmer, doing away with the Chick-fil-A, and this defense dedicated buckling down and letting Tom and Byron Leftwich have a little run, Teresa, doesn't it sound like Tom has a great chance to have a good time in 2022?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's going to be, Todd Bowles isn't going to mess with the offense. You got a good thing, you don't mess with it. And all these guys that they were signing, Fournette, Godwin, they're signing him for 3 years. And they all
Yes.
came back because of Brady.
Yes, and
did
even your
see-
center Ryan Jensen came back because he got the midnight call from Tom that said, "Hey, I'm back," and he's like, "All right, let's do this." And I think that was a good thing. Go ahead, Johnny. You were saying something.
We did see one major Todd Bowles effect in the draft this year. He drafted 2 tight ends. It would never happen under Arians.
You got that right because that's a guy who's looking to hold on to the ball, not turn it over, but then let that defense get fed a little bit and not be worrying about scoring every play down the field, right?
Right. And he didn't just draft 2 scrub tight ends. Cade Otton's a great tight end. Okay.
We go back to not only when Charlie Weiss was offensive coordinator in New England, but also when Josh McDaniel was there. And it seems like back when Tom Brady had a LeGarrette Blount or had a Sony Michael, had the running game to support a great passing game, and he also didn't have a plethora of receivers like he has here in Tampa Bay. Doesn't sound like Tom has to be throwing for 6,000 yards and 80 touchdowns to have fun. Winning is fun with him, and now that he's getting up there in age, getting a supportive running game with a solid defense could also make that fun a little more happen, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can see Tom Brady going out and hitting 50-50. He wants to break Peyton Manning's record is what he
Yes.
wants to do. So
Which is
I
what,
can see him
50?
going out and doing that.
You know, I've seen Tom Brady have more fun the last 2 years than I ever have. It always looked like a business with Tom Brady before.
My thing is, if
He's
you're
out there, he's running for his first down. He's having fun.
Yeah, and then throwing that ball out. Go ahead, Alec.
It was
tension-
Chris that's talking.
Oh, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
the tension's a lot. I think the tension's a lot less there. I mean, if you go up north and see how that tension is, and then you come down here to Tampa, you know, the
That's
beaches,
yeah.
the weather, you know, and just the coach. The coach was more relaxed Arians, you know, just. You know, I think it just a lot of that has to do with it. But yes, I agree. The last couple of years, you know, I can see the smiling and you know more, you know, team. You know, so I'm really glad that he got to loosen up a little bit.
Mhm.
Just like when you see Mac Jones first got drafted by him, you seen like he had that personality. It was like he was having fun, and then started seeing it transition to the season. You started seeing that same thing that Tom Brady was. It was more his post game interviews were more like straightforward.
Or
It's that Patriot way.
or the locker room with Belichick and all. Not to get into him, but you know, you can tell how he is on the field compared to Arians. So if you looked at both of them side by side, you know, one guy smoking a cigar at the bus after a win, the other guy's drink. You know, who knows what he does, but you know, I'm just, you know, that's the vibe that I get from both coaches. So.
Hey, Chris, are you familiar with the tuck game, the tuck rule?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we know that was the 2000 AFC divisional game against the Oakland Raiders and New England. It's snowing, the ground is snow like this.
Right.
I'm not going to question whether I still say it was a great call. I think the call was made. They overturned it, but you go back and look at it, it's still so bang bang. But if Tom Brady doesn't beat a West Coast team in New England in that snow game, and he had supplanted Drew Bledsoe for the season because of the hit by Mo Lewis and the linebacker for the New York Jets. If Drew Bledsoe comes back in 2002 as the starter or 2001, Tom Brady, we don't see Tom Brady as we see Tom Brady today. I think he still has success, but he doesn't get that career. He doesn't have the career he has, or does he still have it, Chris?
That's very questionable to say. I mean, if a guy coming out of 6th round, you know, the 199th pick, you know, who would have thought, you know, that in a million years, you know, he would have turned out the boy he was. But, you know, I think it's just the way he, you know, looking back from when he was in high school, just how he grew up. I just think good things happen to good players. And, you know, I think it was, you know, it's one of those questionable calls that it wasn't really addressed at the time. It's snowing. I mean, it had to be a split decision call, and you know, it's almost like tie goes to the runner. You know, I just think that's how it boiled down. And you know, if you look back now, it's just, I guess it was just meant to be for sports.
Yeah. Well, if that didn't happen, though, I don't think we get Gruden when we needed Gruden.
Teresa, great point, because I'll tell you what, that's the Charles Woodson, and I saw that. That was a great thing I saw last month, you know, during my COVID vacation. God, I can't believe I'm calling it that because it was anything but a freaking vacation. But I watched the Tuck Rule on ESPN, and it's a great piece. Charles Woodson came down here to Tampa Bay, and he went out to Tom's house, and they did this. They hadn't talked about it since it happened. And, of course, Charles Woodson played at Michigan. In fact, he's the last, and as far as I know, the only defensive player to ever win the Heisman Trophy. And him and Brady played at Michigan. Of course, Woodson played there before Brady, but he was the defensive guy that hits him. And Tom Brady asked him flat out, how does your career, how does your life change if you guys win that game? And he says, hey, I'm a Raider for life. Of course, he went on to play for the Green Bay Packers and win a Super Bowl there if he was on the injured reserve or had a shoulder injury when they won it. But also, you look back, and Teresa, what a great point. If those Raiders make it to the Super Bowl and or win it, then even though the Glazers call, I don't know if the Glazers even call Al Davis and offer him 2 1s and 2 and $8 million to get Gruden to come in here after they fire, if they even fire Tony Dungy after that 2001 season.
Right. And I do have some comments, guys. Let's get these
Yeah,
out.
please, Teresa, go ahead, please.
Again, I just want to say, don't forget, get your comments in here, your Snyder marks, whatever you want to put in. And don't forget to hit the like button. That like button's almost as important as a comment.
Yes. Go ahead, Teresa. Hit us with a couple of comments.
Harry said you're speaking the truth that Lamar Jackson is overrated.
I didn't say overrated. I just said that maybe a team's a little apt to want to give this guy a $250 million contract. I think they still got to pay him. I don't think we all agree. I think we all agree with that. The guy's a phenomenal talent. You don't win MVP of the NFL in 2019, and the guy's got a great arm too.
Unanimous. It's only happened twice in the NFL.
Great point, Johnny. Great point. Go ahead, Teresa.
And then we got Christopher Cole saying if he was in Mayfield, he would not play for the Browns even if Watson doesn't get to play this year.
I agree with that comment.
I definitely agree with that one.
Well, let's face it, guys. If he plays and gets hurt, then he gets nothing out of it.
Well, see, me and my opinion about that one is like the way they backdoored him even before. Like they even tell him about the whole trade with Deshaun Watson before it happened. Then they stepped away. Even then, like a quarterback, they had that sour taste in their mouth that they were really bad to trade me, or they were really bad to trade for Deshaun Watson. They didn't even tell me anything. Then they go away from it, and then they blindside him again by doing the trade, and then expect Baker Mayfield to even want to be a part of the team when he asked for a trade after that happened.
They don't really expect him to be a part of the team. He's not listed as a starter. If Watson don't,
I get that.
It's Jacoby Brissett that's playing. He's starting for
him.
Well, Johnny, let me ask you this: if all things are equal and Garoppolo's healthy, and you're a GM of a team, now Baker's a little younger, and you can probably get him on a cheap, but you can get both guys on the cheap possibly. Would you, Johnny Dean, would you want to take a Garoppolo, or would you go after a Mayfield if you were putting a team together for this upcoming season?
Mayfield showed he's tough. He can take the hits, and he can. If you put him in a situation where he's managing a game, or he can't, you put him in a situation like Winston is with the Saints. Okay.
Oh.
Then yeah, I'd take Mayfield because he can take the hits. Garoppolo, I like his game manager mentality. I like what he brings to the game.
Yeah.
He's not going to lose games for you unless it's a big game.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I take Garoppolo if it's more of a passing offense. I think if I got a great running game like the Browns have with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I think that I like Mayfield.
That's another thing. I think Mayfield did actually take that team and make them better. They united under him for some reason. That team was there. That team was there all through those losses. And remember when they made that big trade and they got all those players and they just never gelled. And it seemed like Baker Mayfield's what gelled that team together. Whether the wide receivers liked it or not, too bad. You're in the AFC North. It's a running game. You know what I mean?
Well, I see that, but also since they made that trade for Watson, it's like little things have come out of the woodwork about people that aren't happy with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Yeah.
You keep it in mind where it's coming from. It's coming from the wide receiver.
It's almost like it's almost like a kid or someone with a lot of money gets a new toy. You know, I hate to be that way in that predicament, but you know, it's I want this toy now. It's a new toy. I don't want this other one. You know, so
Yeah, Christopher
you know,
Cole.
he's got a lot of baggage. A lot of baggage is coming with that too. So
Yeah.
This is a
absolutely.
great point, Chris. This is a great point. Go aad, Christopher Cole, one of the most knowledgeable cats here. We love Christopher coming in here
Yeah,
on
love
Friday night.
Christopher
Thank you.
Cole. He
Yeah,
says if we get to the Super Bowl and lose, he'll be back one more year.
let me tell you something. I mean, that would be just like one of those things where, and of course, I think we all precursed it with the fact that if he's having a good time, right? If he's still having a good
Right.
time, and they lose that Super Bowl, go ahead, Teresa.
Oh, and Christopher also said maybe the Glazers don't fire Dungy if the Raiders win that game.
Johnny Dean, we were there. I know Teresa, you were there. Alec and Chris, I know you were there. Johnny, we don't trade anything in the world for Super Bowl 37, our first championship in team history. But if we go back right now, let's just take it off the table. I know it's hard because it's already done.
Mhm.
I would not have been completely heartbroken with another run with Tony Dungy as quarterback, but man, he would have had to fire. I hate to say this, he would have had to have fired Clyde Christensen and brought in an offense, because that was the big thing, right? Was the fact that he wanted to do it his way. But man, it was tried and true from 99 to 2001, Johnny, wasn't it? That this offense, they weren't going to get it. And Gruden he brings in Joe Juravicius and Michael Pittman and Brad Johnson, and they still barely got it done, but they did, though, didn't they?
I love Tony, but that's the he never really got over the hump. He had a great team with us, and he had a great team in Indianapolis. But
Right.
he only came away with one Super Bowl out of that. Right?
Well, in Indianapolis, he already had Peyton in place, right? So he comes
Right,
in
and
there,
that-
and they
the
right.
most dominant team in the regular season of all time, and they still couldn't get over the hump, man. And that
Well.
was a big knock on Dungy. And I can't argue that point, but Dungy was a great coach. He did.
Hall
Clyde
of Fame.
Christensen's a quarterback coach. You should have left him at that, and went out and found you a good offensive coordinator.
Chris, I want to ask you, Chris, and I'm not going to throw you aside because I appreciate you being in here to spend our special guest, Chris Redmond, here. But how old were you in 2000? How old were you when the Bucs won that first championship at 37?
I was 22.
Okay, so you know this. You'll know this. You were like everybody else, because I think we all agree. Warren Sapp, of course, Derek Brooks would have ride and died with anybody. They loved Tony Dungy. He was a father figure, but we all kind of felt, Chris, didn't we, that this Buccaneers, we heard the rumblings. This defense, they were at their wits' end. They saw the writing on the wall. They realized that there was not an offense that was going to meet them, and that's kind of why the Glazers had to make that decision to fire him and go out and find somebody, because they had a Hall of Fame defense. Of course, they've got, they had some Hall of Famers on that defense, and they realized that there was a window that was starting to close, didn't they, Chris?
Absolutely. I mean, they had some big name guys. I mean, like you said, they drafted Sapp, Brooks. I mean, we had Simeon Rice. I mean, we had, Ron A. Barber. I mean, we had Lynch. I mean, you name it. So, I mean, the defense was there. It's just, they knew that we had to hurry up and put it all together. So, as much as Dungy put us in that situation, but he didn't never, like I said, he didn't get us over the hump. And like I said, he's a great coach and all that, but they always say, "Oh, that was Dungy's team." But
yeah,
did Dungy put us in that situation, or was it Sam Weiss?
Well,
yeah,
no,
Sam Weiss drafted that.
I remember that. I remember the game. I remember the game with the Rams, and we played them, and the final score was 11-6.
God, I hate that you knew that, Chris. That was my next question. Who knew the answer to that?
I think at one time the score was 6-5, maybe, or something like that. I can't remember.
We had 6-5 with like a few minutes left. The Rams score, and then of course the referees, they pulled the flag out of their ass with the Bert Emanuel catch. It was a catch.
It was a catch.
Kidding. Thank you, Teresa. But hey, Teresa, I think you'll agree.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Weiss was here in '93 when we bring in Hardy Nickerson. Of course, they draft John Lynch. John Lynch, out of Sam Stanford, another Stanford guy. But Tony Dungy, I do not, going back when we had Warren Sapp here, and Tony Dungy was the defensive coordinator of Minnesota and couldn't get a head coaching job. And the Buccaneers, Rich McKay brings him in here. The Glazers get Rich McKay. No other person could have turned this team around the way Tony Dungy did.
No.
100%. God, I love that. I love just thinking about this.
And to qualify that, I understand why they brought in Gruden. I do not like the way they fired Dungy.
No.
Good point, Johnny. Good point.
Well,
but I also remember, because I'm looking at the guys in the room, I remember when they fired. Of course, it was a little different. We're talking, this is 20 years ago, but I didn't hear anybody descend off it. I heard guys talk about how great Dungy was and a father figure and a Hall of Fame coach that he is, but I didn't hear anybody call out the Glazers on it and say they shouldn't have fired him. I
You
think
weren't
we heard
listening
some.
to me at the time.
Well, no, I mean, but you weren't in the room, JD. Well, maybe you were. I don't know. Go ahead, Teresa. You got another comment for us?
Nope, that's it. I'm
Oh God.
that was my comment so far. Guys,
Yes.
come on, get in there. We know you're out there. You can make it come.
Yes. So let's go ahead and let's transition this again because, guys, Teresa, girl, big news. The media is always. Here's the thing: the media is always going to look for an excuse to talk about the Bucs. I mean, there could be a whole
bad about the Bucs.
Bad about the Bucs because you want to, you shoot for the guy pie in the sky. But now the news in the last couple of weeks, this is old news, but I haven't been on the air again. I don't know if you guys heard. I had COVID. It was COVID vacation. I'm not going to say that again. But Bruce Arians is hanging around. He's hanging around, driving around the Pope Mobile there. He's hanging over at One Buck Place during the OTAs and stuff like that. And the media wants to make a big deal. Deal or no deal? Anybody?
No deal.
Right?
No deal.
Why? Tell me why. Because it is. I think it is.
What do you expect?
Ah.
You guy's been a head coach for all his life.
Right?
He's been on that football field all his life. You'd expect that just because he's in the front office, he's not going to come out there? What the hell, man?
That's so stupid. Yeah, and him and Todd Bowles, I think they've known each other for a couple of minutes. What was it? Todd Bowles played for him at Temple in 1985. Yep. I mean, and then Jason Light, when Bruce Arians comes out of retirement to coach the Buccaneers, his stipulation is that Jason Light gets the same exact contract that he got to come here. The Buccaneers that next season. I remember being on a show on a Saturday. Keith calls us on a Saturday and he's like, you guys want to go live? Jason Light just got a contract extension and, shit's hitting the fan. And I'm like, what do you mean shit's hitting the fan? Of course, he had just Vita Vea was his pick and he had Mike Evans, but, he had Jameis Winston and maybe it wasn't set in stone. He hadn't yet had a Devin White. He hadn't yet drafted the players that he had found in Ali Marpet out of Hobart. But we had to go make a defense for this guy. But my point is that so anytime the media wants to go back and say, well, we think that Tom Brady came back when they said they'd fire. I honestly, let me ask you guys and girl this. I think if Jason Light were pressed, and I know it's all about money at the end of the day, but this is my own personal opinion. If Tom Brady would have held Jason Light over a barrel and said, I don't come back if Bruce Arians is coach, I think Jason Light would have stuck with Bruce Arians. Am I wrong? It's a tough question, but think about it for a second.
That's an impossible question to answer because that's a lot of speculation. We can have opinions. I have an opinion about that.
What's your opinion, JD? Let's have everyone's opinion. You first, Johnny.
I have the opinion that Bruce Arians and Jason Light both were dying for him to come back, and
right.
They said go do whatever it takes to get him back,
Yeah.
I don't think that Bruce Arians is the deal breaker in that. I don't.
Right. And I mean, and I don't think Tom Brady did that. I think that, and I mean, we go back to last season when, him and Byron Leftwich were working on the offense. They were in it 1 a.m, working for 7 hours. And then Bruce Arians would come in and go, yeah, no. And I mean, there might be some truth to that because at the end of the day, he's the head guy in charge. So what he says goes. He came in here and took this team and got us to that promised land. Of course, it was after we opened door number 2 and he brought in Todd Bowles, who they had a relationship, and Byron Leftwich. But how about you, Chris? Chris, what are your thoughts on Chris Richmond on that?
I believe that, Brady, I think he had a great relationship with Arians. I think the media is blowing it out because the news is pretty much not much going on. I think Brady and Arians pretty much gave over to Bowles because from what I'm hearing, and I believe that he didn't want to give that situation to Bowles at the time. And that's the reason why Arians felt it was a good time for him to go ahead and step away and, kind of go into the front office. It was his shot, and you can say this and that, but if Brady's stipulation wasn't, hey, I'm going to come back and get rid of Arians and I'll come back. And then a couple of weeks later, Arians steps down. So, I think the media, of course, is, they're trying to make a story out of it. And I think Arians and Brady, they golf together. He bought him a watch recently. I mean, I think they got a great relationship. I think it's almost like a uncle or someone like that, or something like that.
I like it, Chris.
And you know what, though? If you look at it from the broader perspective,
right?
If you were Jason Light,
yes,
and you had to make the choice between the two,
Right.
It's easier to get a quarterback in there than it is to get.
Oh, Teresa. Yes, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
So, it'd be like we might not have gone after Watson so hard, but we might be talking to John Lynch about Garoppolo.
Oh, how about, yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think it is. And, we're talking about the greatest of all time. I get that. We're talking about Tom Brady, unequivocal. But I just think that Jason Light as a general manager, then again, it comes back to, Johnny Dean, like I was saying, and Alec and Chris, it's the guys in the room, right? Because we can all speculate 365, 24/7, but the guys in the room know. And I think if Jason Light, because Tom's coming back, he tells Bruce, you got to move on, even though you stipulated when you came here that I had to get the extension because we go back to Arizona. We're tight. I think if that happens, I think Jason Light in the long runs loses all of his chutzpah as a general manager, because you bring players in and you got to rely on a man's word. And even though at the end of the day, this league's about winning, I like to think that since the Glazers took this team over in '95, I like to think one thing that Tampa Bay has been fortunate to have consistently is leadership from the top down. And most of the time it's because they just get out of the way. But I think that they believe, no, I'm sorry. Is somebody moaning there?
Yeah. Me and Teresa.
I remember Greg Schiano, okay?
Oh, no,
please,
I get it.
Don't remind me. Please, I don't want to remember those nightmares.
Well, I tell you what, Chris.
I think they've grown. I think the Glazers have grown. They actually have.
They have.
Their lessons from their mistakes.
Yes.
But no, it was a process. It wasn't just an instant. As soon as they came here and got John Gruden, no, that didn't happen like that.
Well,
let me ask you this, Alex Schomburg. Let me ask you this: 2015, the Bucs draft Jameis Winston, #1 overall, Heisman Trophy as a freshman, national championship. A year later, because they want to keep the development going with Jameis, I know in retrospect things are easier to decide. Was firing Lovie Smith and bringing in or letting Dirk Cotter take over this team? What did you feel at the time when that happened? When they fired Lovie Smith to keep Dirk, were we so desperate to see Jameis continue to develop, or would we like to have seen Lovie Smith stay on and what he was starting to do with that team, Alec?
In my opinion, I was actually pushing for Lovie Smith to have that extra year, because you can't it's one of those things where you just gotta give that coach the extra leeway to because not every coach is gonna give you the instant success for that first year.
Right.
Going on second year, it's a growing process. It's one of those coaches. Every single coach that is out of it's like picking a needle out of a haystack. I would rather have Lovie Smith with Winston for that following year after that, because they kind of gave up on the coaches too soon, because it was a domino thing with each head coach. They had their high expectations for each coach, and expected the head of the whole league to bring them all the way to #1. But you can't get that immediately. Not every coach can give you that immediately.
Get in there, Johnny Dean. I hear you, Teresa and Johnny. You guys go back and forth.
Every step that they made from that time is what brought Brady here, so I wouldn't have a thing changed.
Oh, damn, Johnny Dean, bringing in that knowledge. No, you're right. Because, and at the end of the day, it did. That brought him in
one
here.
more thing. Don't forget,
Johnny.
Lovie Smith got rid of 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen the first thing he did when he got here.
Talking about Donald Penn going out to Oakland.
Not just Donald Penn, Jeremy Zutaw, and oh crap, what's the other guy?
Wasn't Frank Middleton? Frank Middleton was before
Not
that,
Middleton,
right?
no.
Okay.
I can't remember. He was out of Notre Dame though. So
true. True fact here. Oh God, what game was it? There was a team that Frank Middleton was on, and he missed the block. Oh, it was Denver. Frank Middleton was playing for Denver. He missed the block on the play where John Elway eventually ended up dragging it around and going in on the helicopter touchdown. Don't hold me on that one, but I think that I saw that again on my vacation. I didn't say COVID vacation, Teresa. Hey, Teresa, is there any more? I think another comment. Pamela White. What does Pamela say here tonight?
Yeah, Pamela White says teams get bad press, period, in the sports world.
I mean, but I kind of agree with that one, because you got to look at it like this. When they talk about Mike Evans 1,000-yard seasons every year, no one they'll still consider him they'll try to like distinguish that and try to push away from it. Some analysts give them the respect for the player, like the players that are in Tampa, like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and then you got Levante David and Devin White. Everybody just goes for like most of these analysts, they pick for favorites and they just go for what's hot. They'll just go for like the Bengals and they'll show them love on their team, the Rams. This is how it is in Tampa. Right. I'm not trying to go to like, different sports, but you gotta look at like the Lightning. They went back to back. No one ever talks about that. They try to pull excuses. The Bucs went Super Bowl. They call it the Asterisk Super Bowl.
The snap!
They call that the COVID put in the playoffs. No matter what, they can win like 3 Super Bowls in a row, and they'll still try to find some way saying, "Oh, Tom Brady won it for them."
That's a great point. Let me ask you, Chris. Let me ask you this, Chris. Hold on. Let me ask you this though, if you don't mind. If the Boston Celtics, Boston Patriots, and Boston Red Sox had the 3-year period that the Tampa Bay had, with the Rays winning the AL East twice, with the Bucs winning the Super Bowl back to the playoffs, and then if the Baltimore and Boston Bruins had gone back to back, and it was happening in Boston, would we have gotten a boatload more of good press and about how great Boston is, or is Tampa Bay a little underachieved because we're a paradise community and people want to live here anyway, and it's like, suck it, so they kind of have a little problem with the teams and don't give us our just due?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
yeah, you think so?
From being a not so good team over the last decade and a half or so, I mean, of course, we're going to catch them off guard when we bring the hottest quarterback in town, with the arsenal that we have. So, I think people are going to always look at it. Well, it's sunny down there. He's retired. His bones are better. Da, da, da. But at the end of the day, we're just going to be fortunate that we're in this situation. So,
I got perspective on that for you.
Go ahead, Johnny. I want to hear that.
I'm here in Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh.
Oh, good point. Penguins, Pirates, and Steelers.
You know how many jerseys you see walking around that aren't black and gold?
None.
Every day I go out, I see at least one Buccaneer jersey now.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'll add to that. The day before Brady said he was coming back that Saturday, me and my wife, we live in Virginia. And we were at a Krispy Kreme donuts because we were cheating. We were actually cheating that day. It was our cheat day. So I said, let's go get a donut. And the guy had on a Brady jersey that Saturday evening. Ooh. And this was like March 10th or 11th, whatever. Right. And I mean, the Super Bowl's over, and he's rocking a Brady jersey. So I mean,
what's funny is the majority of the jerseys I see are Evans jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before Tom gets here, Mike Evans was probably at that point the only. And of course, that was still 3 years ago, but I think that we already assumed he was on a trajectory for a Hall of Fame, and he was their number one selling jersey, right?
I mean, I agree with that because if you look at it, look who before Tom Brady came here. I mean, Evans had his 1,000-yard seasons even before Brady, and then no matter what quarterback he had under center, he still got all his yards from that year, and still people they'll pick Jamar Chase. Some people pick Jamar Chase over him, Cooper Kupp over him. But you got to look at the stats that Mike Evans put up. And I don't blame any Bucs fan for getting a Mike Evans jersey because he deserves that respect on its own for the stats he put up, no matter what quarterback he had on the team for the past couple of years.
Teresa, am I being a homer here when I say, regardless of the fact that Cooper Kupp is a phenomenal talent? I like the story behind how the Rams found him. He had gone to the Manning camp and and Peyton Manning specifically requested this guy. And is it Snead? Whatever, the GM for the Rams was like, why is Peyton requesting this kid? He's a junior in college. And he's like, because he's a phenomenal route runner. He's a phenomenal. But am I a homer here when I say I would take Chris Godwin over Cooper Kupp?
Yes, you're being a homer.
Yeah, kind of. You're being a homer, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
If Godwin hadn't been hurt last year,
right?
Would we have been in our next Super Bowl? That's a possibility.
Ooh.
We could have beat Cooper Kupp and the Los Angeles Rams. We came that close.
Johnny Dean, if Todd Bowles doesn't run a zero blitz on that play and doesn't let Cooper Kupp get open behind, God, I'm not going to go there. That's just opening a sore wound. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Jump in, anybody, please.
I'm not touching that.
Well, I want to go back to
Well,
one
the
thing
thing-
that you guys were
Go ahead,
talking
Teresa,
about a few
please.
minutes earlier with the whole was Lovie Smith or Dirk Cotter the right choice?
Yes.
I think that they were looking at being consistent with Jameis, trying to develop him, and that's the decision that was made. And plus, they had to get rid of Mike Smith. It's defense.
Oh my God. So that was terrible. Now let me ask you this though, Teresa. Do you think another hindsight is 2020 question? But let's just go ahead and say it's just due to hindsight that they had to roll with Dirk Cotter because. Do you think at that point the team had already started to realize that even though he's got one of the top 10 arms in the league and this kid's a phenomenal and he's got the heart that he wants to be a leader, but yet, I don't have to keep going there. But I'm just saying they started to realize that they had to go with Dirk Cotter, but yet in retrospect, and then Johnny Dean makes the point though, everything led us to Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. So. But I think you're right, Teresa. I think they had to stay with Dirk Cotter. But I think at that point, because they had drafted Winston number 1 overall, and they started to realize. But I would also, Alec, you made a point that I would go back and I would take a Jameis Winston in development under Lovie Smith and a defensive control coach because maybe Jameis wouldn't have been asked to do too much and maybe would have learned a little earlier to not try to win every game and throw.
Not with that offensive coordinator that was on the field. No.
You know what though?
Well, don't forget though, Cotter wouldn't have been here because the Eagles were interested. That's the reason why the Bucs jumped the gun to hire him because they heard there were teams interested in him.
But are they going to replace him with a run-oriented coach? Because that's what it would have taken. It would have taken a system like the Saints have, or the Colts have, or one of the AFC North teams have, in order to work with Jameis like that.
Good point, JD. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Teresa.
Well, it could have been worse. We could have had Marcus Mariota.
Oh my God.
So he's just a China doll. So we had the choice between the two. At least we got the one that really performed all 5 years of contract.
The irony is, and this is the reason why I came out a year later, and I thought, honestly, looking at a coach, a Lovie Smith coach, a defensive-minded coach, coming from a Tony Dungy system off the Tony Dungy tree, I kind of thought Marcus Mariota would have been his guy all along because he'd want a ball control quarterback who could pull it down and control and keep the ball. And but I think we all agree Jameis was the shiny object. I think 28 of 32 teams take Jameis number 1 overall.
Let's don't get that wrong. That's Darcy Glazer's pick. Jameis Winston was Darcy Glazer's pick.
Right. I don't think Jameis was Lovey's guy. I think the coach plays good soldier with the team and all, but I think they ends up a year later fired because I think that. But again, Teresa, you pointed out that Marcus Mariota was almost like a Chris Chandelier, always getting injured. So, but
Still
then
is.
again,
good luck, Falcons.
still is. Hey, let me ask you this, Chris Richmond.
Yes, sir.
Is Mariota starter day 1 in Atlanta, or do you believe the hype that Ritter now is starting to look good enough in that offense, and Mike Arthur Smith talking about this young kid that maybe the Falcons, they just drafted the Olave out of from Ohio, and Olave, and they still have the tight end. Do you think that the Falcons, like the Texans in 2021, can throw the rookie in there and take their lumps, or do they put Mariota in there and just see what happens?
And I think Mariota. Oh, you're asking.
I think Mariota's. I think Mariota's going to probably get the week 1 nod.
Okay.
I think towards the first few weeks, I think some injuries or something like that's going to play in a factor. And then the young guys just going to get thrown in the mix. I'm hoping the Atlanta Falcons are, a dumpster fire. Because they put it on us so many years. So I don't really have any, I don't have any, words for them to necessarily or good luck because I know they thrashed us for years. So I wish them the best. And like I said, I think Mariota will probably be week 1 starter, but I'd say within a few weeks he'll be pulled out, and then the rookie or whatever will come in, and
Yeah, good point. Now, Johnny Dean, you're the quarterback soothsayer. Going back to talking about Mills last year, who has more success faster, Pickett in Pittsburgh or Ritter down in Atlanta?
I'll pick it all day long. Ritter.
He has to, right?
I think Ritter is a great quarterback. I had him the second on my list. Not a great quarterback. Excuse me. There was no great quarterbacks in that draft.
But he's the one coming from Cincinnati. This kid stays there to the next year, gets them to the playoff game. He's got the maturity like a Mills out of Stanford, who didn't come out as a sophomore, as a junior.
System.
I'm sorry?
It's all about the system that they're going to.
Oh, and that's in Mike Tomlin, that defensive system there. And of course, they also have the running back now. I'm drawing a blank. Pittsburgh's running back. Not Najee
Harris.
Najee Harris. Phenomenal talent. I think that alone gives this kid a good chance to. You got Mike Tomlin defense. You got Najee Harris, a running back. I don't think. Yeah, but you know what, Teresa, read this next comment from Christopher Cole, because I have a question for all y'all on this.
The good old days are awesome and brings back good and bad memories.
It does, right? So let me ask you guys this. We already talked about Shiano. Maybe he's your guy. Starting around the horn, I'm going to go in order. Alec, then Johnny, then Teresa, then Chris. Alec, starting with you. The worst head coach Buccaneer hire in history of the team.
Ray Perkins.
That might be, but go ahead, Alec. Who's yours?
I only have one. I only get to pick one.
You can have several, but give me your number one. Give me the one when you think about it. Think about it for a second. But when you think about it, you're like, oh my God. Now, I go back before Alec was even born on this one. Teresa, I can't wait to hear what you say.
I'm just going to have to go with Greg Schiano.
That's
between him and Dirk Cutter. It's my top two. But then again, I'm like half y'all's age, so it's like I can only.
You're like, hey, is it after 10? There you go, Alec. Half your age. No, I got you. I got you.
Just the youngest.
Go ahead, Johnny. Give me yours. You've already said it. Is that you're going to stay with Ray Perkins?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. How about you, Teresa? Worst coach hire and teammates? I'll give you two. Oh, Johnny, let me give you two. Alec already said Cotter and Schiano. Johnny, give me two, because I'm going to give two.
Oh my God, the guy that came in right behind
Ray Perkins?
Okay, no, the guy that came in right behind McKay.
Okay, that's good. He came from Atlanta. He was known for the grits.
Yeah, that's who I got.
That's who. Go ahead, share with who it is then, Teresa.
Lehman Bennett.
Lehman Bennett. The guy came in here and did absolutely nothing. He was like known for creating. Of course, it was Jerry Glanville. No, was it Jerry? Not Glanville, but it was that Atlanta defense. They were called the Grits Blitz, and of course, it wasn't his. He was
his
the coach.
Interviews were horrible. Oh my God, dude.
Oh my God. The guy was like interviewing on Oak Door. I mean, and so go ahead. How about you? And let me go ahead with you, Chris. Who you got for your worst two coaches hired in team history?
I had to go with Greg Schiano and Dirk Cutter. I mean, Greg Schiano would probably be my number one. Just when he did he made the defense guys go on the line even when the game was out of the hands. To give them that to just make the unsportsmanlike on the other team was just it was just embarrassing to say the least. I mean, it's that right there took the cake. I mean, we were down whatever points, and he's still trying to get the ball from the guy when they're trying to kneel it. I mean, come on.
So I got two. You know what, Christopher? I'm gonna give you my two. One of the nicest coaches, because you really wanted to root for this guy, but he came in with Ray Perkins. He was a wide receivers coach. Anybody? Teresa or Johnny? It's a tough one because if you're not thinking about it, Richard Williamson. The guy. Williamson. He came in here. I think he took the team in reverse. Now, Perkins had the 3-a-days. And Lehman Bennett came in and did absolutely nothing because John McKay left. Remember, throw McKay in the Bay. We bring him in here. Anyway, that's my two. But I want to get these last two comments, and I'm going to get you all out of here because I want to thank you all for coming in with me. I needed this warm-up show here. I really did because I haven't done this in a while. It's like they say it's like riding a bike. And, today's my 22nd wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary, honey. My beautiful wife, Kathleen Kennedy. But they say it's like riding a bike.
Anniversary and you're here with us?
She was sleeping because she's working tomorrow. She's asleep before I get home. So that gives me the latitude to have a little cup of Ray after dark. But anyway, go ahead.
Where you at, Ray? What's your location again?
I'm glad you asked, Chris. I'm at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill out here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg, where they're going to have the world's best Lightning watch party tomorrow. The Lightning may be playing at Colorado Avalanche out there in Colorado, but if you're in Tampa Bay, there's many places. Of course, they have the watch party. It's $10 a person for the Lightning Foundation over there at the Omni Arena or out there outside. But if you're over here and you're going to be down here in a little while here, Alec, Fergs, and tonight's a slow night, but that's because everybody's taking in that deep breath because tomorrow night, DJ Al McTavish is going to have the party going on down here. So, yeah, I'm down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Teresa.
And
Dude,
Mike
do it.
over here says he's staying at the current hotel in Rocky Point, and the restaurant here is charging $21 a burger.
Let me tell you something. It's not $21 a burger here at Ferg's. They got the best of the Bay wings. I saw a guy. I went in here before I came live. I'll tell y'all real quick. Talking too much. Huge bun, and there's this big round thing. This big round orb of meat, I'm assuming it was, and it's sitting in this bun. It's one of those things where when you press it, it's going to expand. But it had the most beautiful, delicious glaze on it. And I asked the waitress, I said, "What is that?" And she said, "Oh, that's our pork sandwich. They cook it up. They make it perfect. They strip it apart. Then they deconstruct it, then reconstruct it, put it in the glazed sauce, and serve it on a bun with the best French fries in all of St. Petersburg." So that's my plug for Ferg's again. But go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, Christopher Cole says last year Levy was focused on the offense, and he didn't get a chance to fix the defense.
That's a great point because he had the number one overall. He was trying to get a little bit out of that, trying to get some wear and tear off those tires, and he didn't have a chance to put his deep. And he'd already started to make his imprint because remember, Johnny, Mike Smith comes in here when Dirk Cotter gets hired because they were together on the Atlanta staff. If Lovie Smith stays head coach, Mike Smith doesn't come in here as defensive coordinator. Who was I don't know who the defensive coordinator was under Lovie Smith. Now I think about it, that's a great trivia question.
Mike Smith was for a while, and then they went to.
Wasn't right?
See, because I thought, Mike Smith. You guys, do you remember, Teresa? Anybody that when Mike Smith was coaching those Falcons, they had a team that would run through a wall for him, and then he lost that locker room overnight. And something told me right there that there was something going on there. You don't lose an entire locker room overnight unless it's coming. You know, it's not just a rumor gets started. He did something to lose that locker room.
Mike Smith he started the transition with the Bucs into the 3-4 and 4-3 defense.
He did. You're right. No, he did. In fact, that's the reason why when Lovey comes in here, we already had most of the personnel going on. We had Vita Vea at defensive tackle.
Well, that's when Bruce came in and took over. And Todd got in there. He had something to work with.
Right, because we draft again. I posed that question today because going back to 2018, people were like, "How did the Bucs pass on Derwin James and take Vita Vea?" Derwin James, and I'm not putting Derwin down, but that guy, you talk about a glass china doll there, Teresa. Derwin James is a phenomenal defensive back, but I think that now you draft Vita Vea in 2018, and then when Lovey gets here in 2019. It's not the same as having a Warren Sapp when Tony Dungy comes in here as head coach, but it pretty much says, wow, we were fortunate, Johnny Dean, as you pointed out, that we started having that 3-4 staff in here. You bring in a Shaq Barrett in 2019 as a free agent, and then the rest starts to be history. Yeah. With Levante and everybody else. I'm not discounting everybody else, but
you got even I was happy with the Vita Vea draft in the first place because every great defense starts in the interior. Boom. You got to have that interior line, man. And we've spent so many years with Gerald McCoy bleeding the run defense. He had no run stop at all in him, man. And Gerald McCoy's a good. He's a
good cat.
Good cat.
And he's showing some great.
And he's good on the field in pass defense, but he is not a run stopper, and you have to have that big cork in the middle in order to have a good defense.
Pamela White, what does Pamela say here, Teresa? That's funny.
She said she agrees with me. And by the way, that's my sister.
I love it. Thank you, Pam, for coming in here. It's good to see you. I appreciate it.
The worst coaches were Bennett and Shiano, and I don't think anybody can dispute those. I mean, when you get a billboard,
I think Ray Perkins' team would dispute that because they hated Ray Perkins. That defense,
they hated that cat.
They hated him.
Who the hell has 3 days?
Of his military ideas and all that crap. They hated Ray Perkins.
Well, I'm sure
Teresa,
they did, but they didn't get the signs up like they did with Shiano with the fire saying "Fire Shiano."
oh, they did.
But
I
we
didn't
used
know
to,
that.
but we used to remember. I mean, here it was, John McKay's 4 years removed from the '79 championship. Where's the first? And yeah, of course, even before it in '78, it was throw McKay in the Bay.
Right.
I wasn't. I was only. I was a kid. Yeah, kid. But throw McKay in the Bay. And the thing is, he goes out and you bring in Greg Lehman Bennett. So anyway,
that was Culverhouse, though. I'm going to put that all on. Most of that's on Culverhouse, so
Yeah.
So
hey, I got to remind everybody the famous Gay Culverhouse quote. Johnny, what is Gay Culverhouse when they asked about Hugh Culverhouse? She said she wished she could what?
dig him up and kill him again.
That just goes to show you, of course. Go ahead, Teresa. You got another comment before we get out of here?
I got one more, and this is for you, Alec. We should go see that bar when we're in Tampa.
Ooh, hey, let me know if you guys are buying. I'm here too, because I'll tell you what. Anyway, you know what? Before I get y'all out of here, I'm going to go ahead and let's go around the horn. Thank you, Teresa, for doing the comments tonight. But Alec, tell everyone where they can find Mr. Alex Schomburg.
You can find me on Thursdays at 9 o'clock. We're starting off at 9 o'clock now, hopefully, on Bucs Report on NFL Edition with Johnny, Ben, and Alex.
Maybe Ray Kennedy ? Alec, thanks for joining.
Yep.
Have a great evening, man. See you soon.
See you.
Hey, do me a favor, Chris. Tell us about you, brother. I appreciate you coming in. This has been a good conversation. We got to do this again.
Hey guys, I don't have any podcasts right now, but I'm part of Crew Life.
Yes, Crew Life, baby.
DMV. We got patches. DMV. This is our Crew Life right here. Check us out on Facebook, and we have a website as well where you can order these patches and sign license plates.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, sir. And let me tell you something. Right now, Chris, officially standing invite anytime, brother. I'm so glad Alec brought you, let you come in here tonight, because anytime I can ask these trivia questions, and you're hanging in there with me, and you said you were 20 and 30, and back in 2002,
Hey, Chris.
37. So you're invited, bro.
Chris, before you go,
Yes, sir.
you got to promote the round table too, bud.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Crew Life Roundtable.
Oh yeah, we have a show on Sunday mornings at I want to say 9 a.m. I think Miss Sidor is in charge of that.
Yes.
They
Love
do
us some Misador.
They do a talk every Sunday at 9 a.m. They just just go over stuff like this, different topics and stuff. So definitely check that out.
Wasn't this fun? I mean, here's the thing. I've been hearing so much about it's the off season. We're killing things, but so let's take it back. Let's talk about a Lehman Bennett and a Greg Schiano and a Ray Perkins. Let's talk about history. I didn't even ask you guys what was the worst free agent signing of all time. Go ahead. Let me throw
Alvin
it in there.
Harper.
Anybody? Alvin Harper. God dang it. They should have just got that guy a reserve seat over at Mons Venus with a white line leading his way in. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us, brother. We're going to see you again soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Take care, man. I tell you what, Chris was solid. Crew Life in the house, man. That's actually an honor to have Chris in here. That's fantastic. Do me a favor, Teresa. Thank you so much for coming in here. Tell everyone where they can find Miss Teresa. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
Buck Wild tomorrow night, 9 o'clock.
Buck Wild.
Buck Report. Be there.
Teresa, I tell you what, I told you this was going to work out because I always forget those comments, but the comments are the best part. But man, we had some stimulating and some awesome conversations, some comments tonight. Thank you, Teresa, for coming in here for a cup of Ray After Dark.
No worries.
Take care now. Johnny, just the
I have
two
one more
of
thing
us.
to say. You asked me a question about Desmond Ritter and Pickett.
Yeah, and Kenny Pickett. Yeah, please.
I have Kyle Yacy was afraid to get on here and talk, so I'm answering for him.
Please,
said-
I want to get Kyle in here. We're going to do that soon for sure.
I want to get his exact wording here.
Go ahead.
He said, "Riddle, undisputed champion."
Oh, because he's an Atlanta Falcons fan. And you know what? I don't hate the Atlanta Falcons. I really don't. I got 28-3 reasons not to. I'm kidding. Johnny, tell us where we can find Johnny Dean whenever we want to get some more of this stimulating conversation.
Thursday nights, NFL edition, right here on Bucs Report on my page, the What's Happening NFL page, and elsewhere. It's shared around. So
Brother, thank you, JD. I appreciate the professor in the house here on a Friday night. You take care, brother.
All right, later, bud.
Tell you what. Oh, let me remove you here. Johnny, wait. Johnny, wait. No, come back. Tell everyone you got to exit, but you got to wait. No, get back in here. You got to say it before you do it.
What I got to say now? I messed up. What?
Casper.
Oh, I can't find him right now. I'm on your thing.
That's okay. Just give it to me. Just say me some Casper. Just say Casper.
I can't ghost people without Casper, man. It's in the contract.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon, Johnny.
Later.
So I got another comment jumped in here. Olivia Quinn, a YouTube comment. Love it. The Bucs have stacked offense. It's just insane. I'm jealous. Olivia, I tell you what, I get it and I appreciate it. And now again, I worked it back in the show there where now we got Todd Bowles in that defense. And here's the thing: you walk a fine line as a coach. You got to pit your offense against your defense. You want team continuity. You want a team working together. But now you got Todd Bowles and the phenomenal defensive mind he is. Now you still have the most stacked offense in the National Football League. Yeah, I said it. I still believe we are. I still believe this Buccaneers offense has the potential to set records. I still think Tom Brady's got a great shot. Should have won the MVP in 2021. I'm kidding. No, I'm not. But I think Tom Brady could win it in 2022. But now you give him a stacked defense. One of the questions I wanted to ask my panel tonight, we're going to save it for the next cup of Ray, Borgalis or Ryan Suckup. You know, I go back and I look at the Tuck game from 2001, start to look at Adam Vinatieri, start to look at the importance of having a solid veteran kicker for those games where you have a close call. You need a field goal in the last seconds. And are you ready to move on? Are you looking to move to a Borgalis and save a few dollars to bring in a young kicker that other teams might be possibly looking at because the Bucs kept him on a practice squad in 2021? Or is it going to stay with Ryan Suckup, who had a bit of a little down year in 2021, but you're still going to pay that cat the millions, a couple of $1 million. Is that where you look to trim the costs? To try to afford more pieces to get a championship run in 2022? I don't know, but we're going to save that for the next comment. Olivia, thanks for coming in here. And I'm so sorry the show opened the way it did. My computer was not showing me live. Everybody's like, Ray, you're live, and I couldn't get it. I had to reboot. Then I did Windows Update. I want to thank Johnny Dean. I want to thank Chris Richmond. I want to thank Alex Shumber and, of course, Teresa Baxter for covering my proverbial ass. And I can say that because it's a Cup of Ray After Dark here on a Friday night from the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. I'm not going to say it. Out here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. I hope you have a great evening, and thanks for joining us. Share the show so we can continue to get this party going, because that's what we're just trying to do. Stimulating conversation, and I didn't even get into half what I had planned for tonight. I'm going to save it for next time. Look for me on Sunday. It is Father's Day. A couple of years ago, I was over at the stadium there, over at Raymond James Stadium. It's like my Father's Day gift to all our fathers out there. Fathers who were still with us, fathers who may not be with us anymore, and we have those memories. I'm going to try to do it again this year, so look for me on Sunday, and definitely keep it here on Bucs Report Saturday night on Buck Wild, Thursday night on the NFL edition, and, of course, we're going to have to get Chris to get his own show on here. Have a great Friday night, everybody. Enjoy. Find your beach this weekend. Happy Father's Day to everybody, Father's Day weekend, and remember how I end every one of these things. Everyone needs to know someone cares. This weekend, especially on Father's Day, even if it's not so much your father, but just someone who was a father figure who set the examples and showed you how to be a better man, a better father, better mother, better person, that man who made that example in your life. Reach out and let them know that you care. Hope you all have a great evening. We'll see you soon here again on Cup of Ray on Bucs Report.